Hello, everybody.
Hello.
This is Marvin.
And Amber. And we're with the Family O.
We want to welcome you guys to another installment of our podcast series, the Family O Audio Experience. We're going to just dive right in and talk about the topic for today. But before we do that, how's your day going so far, sweetie?
It's going really good, y'all. So this morning, I think I woke up about 9:30. When I got up, Babe had got up a little bit before I did.
Yeah.
And that was kind of sleeping in a little late today. That was a blessing.
Yeah.
So Babe went for a run in our beautiful neighborhood. He said it was kind of a lot because that heat, y'all.
Yeah, that Georgia heat, it's really kicking in. I mean,
yes.
And we're in August, so I forgot today is August 1st as of this recording. So I felt every bit of it. So that lets me know that we got to get it going a little early if we're gonna be running.
Definitely.
And we had a nice little garage workout. We have a couple things that we've held on to since our old home. A little ladder thing, some resistance bands. A slam ball that you got me for my birthday or Father's Day.
I never can keep up. I don't know.
I know. Well, I think it was
jump rope.
Some jump rope and a kettlebell that I got for that was for Father's Day.
Yeah, you did get that for Father's Day. Or was it your birthday? Oh, it's Father's Day.
I love kettlebell, and we were having such a hard time finding it, especially with everything going on right now. It was tough to just find any kind of workout type of stuff, guys, because everybody's at home, so everybody's doing at home workouts and stuff like that. But what we're going to talk about today is our thoughts on couples putting their money together, or if it's a better idea to have separate bank accounts, when you get married. Our hope is that sharing our experience and our thoughts on the matter, that you take it with an open mind, with an open heart. I think the new word that some of these YouTubers be using are called triggered, and so we're hoping not to trigger anyone, but if you get triggered,
it is what it is. These are our thoughts, so it's, this is what we feel is the best thing for us.
Yes.
And for others too, to be honest, but definitely for us.
So we're going to talk about that. And so if you are watching this on YouTube, please do us a huge favor and be sure to hit that thumbs up button. That helps YouTube spread this content to other individuals that it may find helpful. Leave us a comment letting us know your thoughts on today's podcast episode. And be sure to follow us on social media. We have a pretty strong social media presence on Facebook and Instagram. The links to join us and connect with us are in the description box of this podcast. So we're gonna jump right in for real this time. So I want to talk about what brought this subject up and why I thought it would be a good idea to talk about it, because we have some very strong opinions on it. There was a gentleman on Dave Ramsey. If you've heard of Dave Ramsey, he's like America's Money guy. He's one of the people that we have been following for years, literally, on the best ways to manage our money God's way. We kind of jumped a few steps in the baby step process, but we're almost done with our student loans, so we're super excited about that. And one of the personalities on the platform, his name is Anthony O'Neill, and he talked about an article that he read that was in the Wall Street Journal, and basically the article writer was talking about the author of a particular book that we won't name, but basically the author believes that women should 100% of the time keep a little stash on the side or keep their money separate. And Anthony's views on it were very, very much, he let it be known how he felt from a personal standpoint as a single man that hopes to be married, from a biblical standpoint, and his comment section was on fire with various views. So we want to talk about our experience, starting out, growing up in our respective households, and what we were taught about putting your money together as a married couple, and then when we became single, dating, the whole experience in there, and then ultimately once we got married. So I'll let you kick it off, sweetie, as it relates to your early perspective on putting money together, man and woman, and what your thoughts were coming up, growing up.
Got you. Okay. Thank you, sweetie.
You're welcome.
So for me, I always, was under the understanding that once you are married, then you become one. So that means that you basically become a team, and it's you, your spouse, and God, and you work together with everything. So money, household responsibilities, just whatever you could think of, anything that you need for life, you work as a team. So that was always my understanding. I always thought when I get married, my husband and I will work together financially, put our money in one pot. Like, that's just what I thought it was. I just thought when you think of getting married, that means coming together in all aspects. So that was my thought process.
Now, what about your friends and family, across the board? Like, did you ever see or hear anything that was kind of counter to that original thought process?
Of course, yes. I mean, like, as a woman, particularly a Black woman, an African woman, you always would hear the hearsay similar to this book and this article about making sure you have like a little nest egg, something on the side, in case he does blah, blah, blah. You'll have money, be able to get away, especially when you have children.
Be able to get away. Oh, my
Especially if you have children, being able to still take care of your kids. So I do remember hearing that, yes.
Wow. Well, and in my household, so it was a little bit, very much I grew up in a very patriarchal household. My parents are immigrants. We've talked about that on numerous occasions. And so my perspective of money growing up was pretty much, the husband called the shots. It was whatever he said, and either the spouse got with it or, felt otherwise or didn't say it. So growing up, that was the way that I always would see it. But also, there were certain situations that I've seen within my family, because we have a large family that's here in the States. And so some of the things that I remember seeing growing up, we didn't really talk much about money and how to manage it. We definitely didn't tithe or anything like that. We didn't really do a lot of, we did, my folks and other family members, they did a lot of shopping. They bought things when they wanted to. But I didn't really hear the word budget. And to my understanding, my parents just had, just one bank account. But what was interesting was growing up, I remember having a family member that I will not name that was married and did an amazing job saving up a significant amount of money over the course of a few years. And that person kind of pulled me to the side. I don't really know why to this day, but I guess they felt like they could trust me with this information, and maybe if something happened to them, that I would know, where the money was. I don't know, but they showed me the money, and I'd never seen that much money in my entire life at that time. And they were married to a person whose perspective on money was really just based on just how they personally felt. If they wanted something, they go get it. If they didn't want something, it wasn't going to be done. And so that showed me that, first of all, there was a big, disconnect in personalities towards money, which I feel like you have to be on the same page about that. But this person saved up all this money. The spouse got wind of it and, essentially took the money, put it towards, some investments, and needless to say, all that money was gone. And when I tell you that this person, till this day, this was years ago, to this day, when I have conversations with this family member, it still stings that they did such a fantastic job saving up, like I said, more money than I'd ever seen at the time. And because they were joined to another person that was not, did not have the same respect, because it wasn't necessarily their money that they saved up. This was this person's money that they saved up from working their job, that it just could so easily be taken away. So I can understand why a lot of individuals feel like having your money separate can be a positive thing, but we want to give our, again, this is how we both grew up.
Yeah.
You saw it the way you saw it, and the way I saw it, like I said, was very patriarchal, and like I said, having family members that lost a lot of money because their spouse was just bad with money.
Yeah.
And what were you going to say? You say something?
No.
And then even more recently in our dating years, we had another friend that was married to a that was dating a very, very bad person. And I mean very bad from the moment we met this individual. We just felt like something was weird. When they talk about energy, that's like that's a true thing.
Yeah.
This person got his claws on this person from a mental as well as a financial standpoint. And when I say they suffered a long time with money as a young married couple, and they're no longer together. But this friend of mine was like, when they were in the middle of it, they didn't really feel like they had a voice.
Yeah.
And so walk us through how sometimes with men and women, that sometimes women can kind of feel voiceless as it relates to their money and the moves that they want to make that may be counter to what the husband, and then I'll give the husband perspective.
Got you. So I think it's really important initially that you really seek God when you begin to start dating anyway.
And what does that mean?
When that means that you literally talk to God, like, Lord, is this something I should be doing? And because you talk to God, because you formed that relationship with Him, you can hear His voice nudging you or saying, no, don't do that. So I think that that's important first. I also think that having conversations about money when you begin the dating process is really important as well. Like, just when I say having conversations, I mean in particular, like, what are your thoughts on money? How do you feel about tithing? How do you feel about giving? What do you think about lending money? So on and so forth. And as, of course, as time progresses within that courtship, you find out about, what type of debt, for example, that person, that you are with, especially as you get closer to marriage, right?
Yeah,
or you start
really
talking
important
about marriage, right?
Right.
So personally, I think that that's the beginning of it. Before you even, get too far, those are, to me, conversations, that need to be had up front.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Before you even get to the point where you're like even married, like you should like already have that mapped out, just like with having children, whether you want to or whether you don't want to.
Yeah.
So I just think that, like they was saying earlier, like I can understand when you have not really sought God about the person that you're choosing to be with, choosing to marry.
Yeah.
I can understand how if you haven't really sought God and you start to see things that don't look good within that person,
but you get into a little too deep.
Yeah, you've gotten in too deep. I could understand where you might be like, I need to keep my own stuff. But I think that you have to do things in decent and in order, and therefore I feel like you can avoid some of those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's just due diligence in life, in the courtship process. You guys may or may not know, we had a very long courtship dating wise. I believe it was 5.
It was 5. It would have been 6 years, but we got married that November.
Yes.
So basically in December, it would have been 6 years, but then we got married that November. Right. So we met 2002, got married 2008.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we had a very long courtship for a reason. Going into dating, I had a 5-year minimum that I needed to get to know you. And it worked perfectly, obviously, because that was through our college years anyway.
It was through college,
And so it really gave me personally the opportunity to see, if we would really connect from a marriage perspective as it relates to money. Because if you guys know me, many of you that are watching this are family, but I'm a self-admitted cheapskate, self-admitted, and the reason is because I have 5 brothers, and so when resources would come in, it had to be divided 5 ways. So when I got my little change, I just, because everything had to get split up 5 ways, it made me a little bit more, I just hold on to money, at least starting out. I was a cheap guy. So I always had to get stuff secondhand. And so that was just kind of the way that I did things. But I've gotten better over the years. I'm a huge giver now. I'm a huge giver now. But I still have a lot of my frugal ways that I kept. And it was, okay, so I'm a frugal person, but then I'm also a comedian to an extent. So when I first met Babe, I said something to the effect of, I think you needed a ride to go somewhere.
I was getting a ride to go back to Dallas, and I was gonna pay the person gas money because we met in Houston, so we were in college. So I was paying the person gas money to take me. So I could ride with them back to Dallas. Yeah.
Right. And I told her, well, shoot, you could have paid me. And that's because that's that hustler in me. And then again, I'm like, well, we could get to know each other. You're going to spend the money anyway. You might as well pay me. But again,
he was joking. But I did not like that, y'all, at all. I was like,
it was a turn off. Yeah. I was starting out bad. Starting out real bad. But she saw the potential. So that's what it was. But anywho, that was something that, I'm trying to get my words right, but that was just kind of the way that I approach money, is from a very, a scarcity mindset. That's the word I'm looking for. I didn't have a lot growing up. We didn't have a lot growing up. And so the little that I started to accumulate, it was something that I had hold on to it because it could be gone just that quickly. And I learned from, like I said, that family member that had lost their money because they trusted another person in the family. And it just turned into a really bad situation. So anywho, as we were progressing in our dating life, we came to an understanding, because I didn't naturally grow up tithing. So again, these are all money conversations that we were having that were tied from a biblical perspective, and that's our journey. But we still had to have these conversations to see, okay, well, how you feel about tithing?
Exactly.
How do I feel about tithing? Maybe I may have been the person that felt like, well, that money's going straight to the pastor, that type of perspective. And you might have felt like, look, this is something that's very important to me. Yeah. But I would have had a decision to make if I felt like that was money going out to nowhere.
A waste of money, A
waste of money, because we do tithe 10% off the top. But we had to get to that point. Where we had an understanding of money. But there are relationships that are out there, I'm sure, that neither one of the folks tithe. Neither one of the folks do very much giving of any sort. And that can be a problem, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So before we got married, we already were on the same page on the macro area. Do we agree on everything? No, we do not. But on the macro, there are non-negotiables that are a part of our marriage. And so I feel like money has to be something that you guys are on the same page about. How do you feel about credit card debt? How do I feel about debt? How do I feel about your student loans? Am I going to help you pay your student loan? I feel like when you start talking about things being yours versus mine from our obligation standpoint, don't you think that can cause, like, I don't know, like a little bit of animosity?
I think so, yeah. Because you have some people that, like, if one person has some debt, like, and you don't, they're like, well, I don't want to have to pay your debt, But I just feel like the cool thing about Babe and I is that we have grown so much together. When we met, we were 20 and 21. We were, like, so young. We were kids.
Babe's a year older than me, by the way. She was about that cougar life, weren't she? I'm just joking.
He always likes to bring that up. Really? Anyway, I am 1 year older.
Yes.
So when we met, we were kids, and so, like, you made me lose my train of thought, babe.
I'm sorry.
We were kids when we met. We were 20 and 21. Oh, so we have grown together so much. So we went through college together. Look, we got in debt together to get our education.
We did.
So that was something that wasn't like we met after college and, that was an issue we had to address. But I think the cool thing about Babe and I, like, before we got married is that, like, we didn't have an account together or anything while we were courting, but we still, like, like he would be like, okay, babe, I got $50. I'd be like, oh, I got 75, for example. Okay,
Right.
let's put that together, and this is how much money we have, and we would work together like that for whatever it was. So we already started like really working like team building like that before we got married, just like kind of naturally almost, just because like we literally became best friends. And it's kind of like those of you that have like best friends, whether it's, you know, a woman or a male, whatever have you, you know how like you just kind of like just do stuff together, like everything together, and you just like, oh girl, I got this, or man, I got this, or whatever have you, you know.
It's just money you just put in.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how it was. And like Babe was saying, we had started having those conversations already prior to that about money and stuff. So it's almost like we were just like getting prepared for
the inevitable.
Yeah, the inevitable. Yeah.
And I think that was something that, you know, you were able to see, where I was, you know, maybe you felt like you could be a blessing to me and help me kind of release a little bit more, you know, as far as my giving is concerned. And then in your case, I felt like you were kind of giving it something to everybody.
Yes, he did. He was like, babe, you doing that for real? Like I really was. I mean, to this day,
in a negative way. Yeah,
in a not good way, in the sense of, and I know you guys you probably need more clarification. So of course, giving, you should give, right? The thing that we've learned, however, is that this money that we've been blessed with is ultimately God's money. Yeah. So basically, when I say that, I just mean like, if I'm going to be a blessing to someone, I can do that, but it doesn't always have to do with money, because there are some people that, you know, you will give them that money and you know doggone well that they're going to have their hand out that same next week asking for more money.
Giving a drunk a drink.
Exactly. Then again, the next week. So I've learned so much through Babe that I can still give. It's just like I have to like look at each scenario and be like, okay, wait a minute. I know that so-and-so, I know that they're not really good with their money, so they're going to basically squander this and be asking for more next week. And we've been there, done that. Yeah. Like, so throughout the years. We've been together 18 years total, right? Yeah. 2002. Yeah, 18 years. So throughout that time, we've dealt with a lot, you know, as it relates with money and giving. And so we've been able to really balance each other out where we know that, okay, we still know we want to give. We just have to make sure we're formulating it the correct way.
And using discernment.
Using discernment.
That's the main thing. Using discernment, checking the energy, looking at the track record, as you mentioned, if it's going to be a situation where it's just a consistent handout.
Exactly.
And I believe in giving a hand up. I don't believe in giving a handout. And if we do give, it's not alone. It's just a gift.
We
it's
just
a blessing.
give. Yeah, we've never been like that. Yeah.
Take that blessing and you got to do something
right
with
by it. So you're not coming back. And with Babe though, Babe was like really tight-fisted when we met. He was very tight-fisted, like he mentioned. And so I feel like my job was to let him see that too much is given, much is required or expected. Yeah. So yeah, we're not just gonna go out here, $100 bill to everybody. No. But at the same time, what can we do to be a blessing? What can we do to help people? You know.
Right.
So we had to have those conversations, you know, before we got married, so that we could see that as we move forward in our marriage, we want to be successful with money. Right. We know how to move, right, babe?
Yeah, absolutely. And it gets it clears a lot of confusion out of the way when you have these tough conversations, because I came into the marriage with my baggage, essentially. You came into the marriage with your baggage. And again, that baggage could be what we've seen growing up, what we've experienced in prior relationships. And there are some individuals that you know, got burned in a really bad way financially, and they just will never put their money together. So now we're going to talk about how we operate as in our marriage, and, you know, again, what we do keep separate versus what's together. And the only thing that we keep separate, y'all, is our Roth IRA accounts, and that's because we have to. It has to be separate. Roth IRA is just our, you know, one of our investment accounts, but we have, you know, where we do our stock market investing. That's a joint account where we do our just general moving and shaking outside of just our own, you know, employer or IRAs, rollovers, stuff like that. But everything is synced up together, and I'm going to tell you why it's important to do that, because again, my career, I work in finance. That's as much as I'll say about it. But I can't tell you how many times, especially now with everything going on with COVID, how because folks don't operate together, something happens to one party and they have no earthly idea how to track this person's money down and where they had assets elsewhere, and it turns into just a big treasure hunt because this person felt like their money should be separate. And then what happens if you're in a situation where we've been only married to each other, but there have been situations that I've read countless times where people get remarried, they don't change their beneficiaries, they die, and then the ex-spouse gets all the money because that person, because they weren't working together, didn't change it into the new married, the new spouse's information. And so once you did that, it turns into a big headache from an estate planning standpoint. But how critical would it have been to just have that conversation, have everything synced up? That way everything we know is accurate, everything we know is current, and everything reflects each other, because it just keeps things clean. Now, I do want to talk about one of the misconceptions that people have with and why they feel like they want to put their money together. And I want you to go first, Cutie.
Yes.
About folks that say, well, I don't want nobody telling me how to spend my money. Yeah. So how do you walk through to a person that justifies keeping their money separate for that reason?
Well, you got to think about it. Even the way how my babe said, I don't want nobody telling me how to spend my money. First of all, it's not anybody. This is the person that you have said that you are madly in love with. I want to spend the rest of my life with this person, and that's the attitude you have about money
that
with
you're sleeping next
the person
to
you're sleeping
night.
next to, your spouse. So you already, in my opinion, have to look at it from that perspective. Like, why do I feel this way? Like, why do I not trust the person that I am married to with my money, or with money, with us putting our money together? Let me say that.
Right.
I think that when you are married, you should put your money together. And I think that you should talk about all those different innuendos, such as getting things that you might want to purchase for yourself, shopping. You got to talk about all that stuff. And really, that's where a budget comes into place. Really, to be honest with you, whether you're married or not, you should have a budget just for your life in general, right? With your money, you should have a budget. You should have a shopping budget for groceries, for clothing, for activities, dining out, so on and so forth. Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be separated.
No, it doesn't have to be separated. That's what I'm saying. Even if you're single, you could just do that. So when you're married, you definitely want to do that, especially once you have children in the mix, because you want to be able to really enjoy a great quality of life. So that's my biggest concern, is just the energy behind I don't want nobody telling me how to spend my money. Like the way how we do things, for example, like we just said, we have our money together. So we have a budget now that we just set up recently, actually.
A monthly budget.
That we just set up. And so like I'm gonna talk about before and then now. So before that, what we would do is I'll say that we, first of all, started with a heart of gratitude. Like, we already have a lot of stuff. Right. Like I was telling baby the other day, I don't need any more clothes, really. I have a closet full of clothes on both sides of my closet. I have plenty because you was asking me about shoes. Because I was telling him, like, I wanted to get, like, some kind of dresses where I could, like, don't have to worry about shaving, y'all. Long dresses. I'm just be honest. I
like it natural, by the way.
He does. I'm so blessed. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. But I was like, I want to get some long dresses. And he like, well, you think you need some shoes too? I said, babe, no, I don't need any shoes. So coming from a place of gratitude, like of what you already have, is really important when you think about the fact of, I don't want nobody telling me how to spend my money. I want to be able to get what I want anywhere. Or is it just the ideal of someone telling you? Well, with us, we don't tell each other how to spend money and stuff like that. That's not how it works, know. We just talk about stuff. Babe, what do you think about blah 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 blah? And then he'll say, oh, well, do you what, like, why do you want to get blah blah blah, for example, depending on what it is. And then
because I might feel like, well, we have this already, or we have something similar.
That's always his thing.
And I just don't like to waste money.
Exactly. Yes. And then the same with me. I'll ask, okay, well, for example, have you checked the prices? Because we, like I said, these are conversations we've had for years. So we have different ideologies. I've actually gone more on the side of him, whereas he was like super duper 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 frugal, and I would be like, babe, come on now, you need to get you some new underclothes. Come on now, babe. So
I'll have the same holy pair of drawers for
And I would have to like buy him stuff, but then like on the reverse side, it's kind of like where I would even ask him, okay, babe, well, is this the lowest price you found? You know, well, what about this? Well, do we have some coupons? You know, or stuff like that.
But I was just gonna say quickly, like I like sneakers.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't bought any in a while, but if I want to go get a pair of sneakers, I would rather sell you on why I'm treating myself than to buy it and say, well, this is my money. You know, don't tell me what to do with this. This is my money. I work for it. You know, that it's just that energy. That
exactly.
it's a negative energy, and I've had countless homeboys through the years that have walked into it that way, like they don't want the person to tell them what to do, and I'm not judging that. That has to be based on something you've experienced, and which is helping me be a lot more patient. And you were talking about having that heart of gratitude with people. You know, everybody brings what their baggage is.
Their baggage. You talked about that.
Yeah.
And then just to be very frank though, like let's just say if babe did want to go get some sneakers, I'm not gonna question about them sneakers.
Right.
I'll be like, okay, babe, cool. That's it.
Right.
Now, big purchases, that's totally different. I'm not gonna go get $1,000 bag because I love bags. So I'm not gonna go buy $1,000 bag and just be like, and that's it. And then babe looks at the account and you know we had whatever in there, and then it's $1,000 lower. That right there is something that I would talk to him about,
right?
Before I make that purchase.
And what's the underlying tone of all this? Communication.
That's it.
Communication. And I feel like when folks are saying, you know, I don't want anyone to do this, I don't want anyone to tell me how to do that, like you're already putting the seeds out there that if worst came to worst, you on your own and I'm on my own. If the bills come in, if you don't pay the light bill ain't gonna get paid. Like just having that mindset of that separate with a person that you are sleeping with every day. I trust when I go to bed at night, I say this to babe all the time, that she ain't gonna take a pillow and suffocate me.
Really,
like that. I'm just saying, like if I don't trust you enough to sleep with you.
That's right.
We obviously are married, so ain't nobody wearing no condoms. So, but if we, I just had to keep it 100, keep it 100. But imagine when you're dating a person, why do you wear protection? Hopefully people do still wear protection, but why do you wear protection? Because you don't really know that person and you don't want to take a risk of catching something you ain't gonna be able to get rid of, like kids or diseases with the person that you are not even really connected to on a deeper level. So that's the point. If you take that approach, or like, let me just keep it a little more PG. Why do we wear masks when we go outside now? Because we know that there's a pandemic out there right now that, yes, there's a strong possibility you're not going to die from it, but there are people that have died from it.
Yeah,
so
a lot of people. We
go out and we wear masks as a protection for ourselves. But when we're at home, the mask comes off,
exactly.
right? Literally and figuratively. You know, if I can't be myself around you, then
why are we married? Yes,
And so if I can't trust that when money goes into the pot, that you're going to,
manage it properly.
You know, where we have a certain goal, like we both want to get out of student loan debt. We're that's our only debt at this point. And that's why we have a YouTube channel, and other businesses out there, because that income that comes in helps us knock down that debt. But imagine if you didn't care about your student loan debt, you was running up a bunch of credit cards, or I was, and you'd be looking at me like, specifically as your husband, who, again, from a biblical standpoint, I'm considered the head. You know, that's just a poor reflection on me. And,
I agree.
And 100%. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
As far as leading us. And
I think, going back to what Babe was saying, that communication is so important, because I just think that if you talk about money, it will make it easier, and it won't be, I guess, as people or the statistics say, the number one cause of divorce. And babe, another thing I was thinking about is the fact of how we share responsibilities as it relates to finances too.
Oh yeah.
So it's certain things financially that, keep in mind, it's still the same money, but that I take care of as far as responsibility, and then there are certain ones that babe takes care of. Absolutely. So for example, like all of our bills are on auto pay, and babe is responsible for that. Okay. Me, I'm responsible for our tithe paying. Every time money comes in, I square that away right away. I also deal with our shopping, our grocery shopping, and as well as like clothing and food shopping.
Right.
Babe deals with our investing. So we have our own responsibilities financially, even within our household as well, that we take care of so that we know what's going on. But I couldn't imagine, babe, if when you get paid, then you have your money on your side, and then when I get paid, I have my money on my side. And then like roommates, we like, okay, time to pay the mortgage. You pull out your amount, I pull out my amount, and then we, or even if we had a separate account and then a joint account, for me, that is very peculiar because I want to know what's going on with all the money, because I feel like this is my husband and I am his wife. So I feel like that's that togetherness.
And then what happens if I were to not bring any income in? Would you leave the bills and not be paid because that was my responsibility? You see how that the logic, you're not gonna leave your spouse out to dry if there's a certain responsibility that was supposed to be handled from their bank account. If things get crazy, then the money is going to be considered one pot anyway. But there may be some people that are like, well, if something happened to you, then with the money, it's your money.
But that's once again, if we're talking about biblically, that is not what marriage is.
Yes, and there are people, of course, I'll play God's advocate.
Okay,
here. I won't play the devil's name, but there are people that have misused the word. They've misused the Bible. They've misused scripture to push their own controlling energy and justify it by God. Now we're not saying to be blind and be deaf or dumb about it, but what we're saying is that you should know enough about the person that you're with before you jump that broom to know that, this person is someone that I can trust. Because if you can trust them if I can trust you to be the mother of my child and me to be the father of your child, and put my seed in you, and vice versa.
Babe, you just own it today.
Well, we haven't done a podcast in a while, so you know how that go. But if I trust you enough to sleep next to you on a daily basis and tell you all of my deepest, darkest thoughts and secrets and all that, if I trust you in that capacity, money is really just the byproduct of the work that we're doing, because we're both gainfully employed.
Yes, praise God.
We both have companies together that we started that brings in income, and I know that if anything happened to me, that you know what to do, what to do with the money, and vice versa. But if I don't trust you to join the money, that means I don't trust you.
Yeah, I don't trust you. I agree. Yeah.
And you can justify it any way you want to and say, well, that just mean that
I'm being smart.
Because you never know what could happen.
Exactly. No, being smart is making sure that you're with a person that is of integrity, a person that you guys have talked about your life goals together.
Right.
You have, you've really sought God and you feel a peace about it. That's being smart. Not, well, you never know. You never know. And all that. You leaving room for the enemy anyway.
And that's coming from a loser mentality. And a negative mindset. And a projection. You're projecting what you've dealt with and putting that on the next person.
Yes.
And that's unfair. I'm fully giving myself to you. I'm not giving 99%.
I love that.
And that 1% to that person that treated me a certain kind of way before me. I'm giving all of myself to you. So with that being the case, and I know you're doing the same for me. And so I think that when you look at it from that perspective, that it's me, you, God, as you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, then I think that you're going to be on the right path. Now, there are situations where folks have had what they call financial infidelity. And they've hidden purchases from their person. Walk us through how one should handle that from a woman's perspective, and then I'll say how to handle it from a man's perspective.
So be more specific, babe. You're saying how should you handle that with your spouse? You're saying as far as like hiding purchases. You definitely shouldn't do that. I feel that if you feel like you have to hide a purchase from your spouse, you need to talk to your spouse again, about that's an issue. So you have to talk with your spouse, your husband, about that money situation, because there may be some cases where, let's just say, maybe you're not equally yoked as it relates to money.
Right.
And so you need to talk a little bit more. You got to get back on track, or get on track, should I say. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's a wise thing to do. I mean, that's being very sneaky, and it's not of integrity. And you need to have a conversation with your spouse about that. You know, you have to be like, okay, listen, babe, now I haven't bought anything. I tell babe all the time, I'll be like, babe, you know, I am not like typical, if you will, because I don't get my nails done. I don't get my hair done. So I'm like, if I want to go get me some, I told him the other day, it was so funny, y'all, because this is just how much of him has rubbed off on me. So I was trying to get some bubble bath, and if anybody shops at Sprouts, you guys know that Sprouts has some like dope like bubble baths and soaps and stuff like that. Yeah. But they are costly. And so here I am in my mind, like for a bubble bath, I think it was like $15 maybe. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I'm spending $15 on this bubble bath. Keep in mind, it's just for me. I'm the only one using it. So I'm only going to, you just do the little pump, squirt, one little squirt, and that's it. I probably could keep it for like, I don't know,
a month
maybe a month or more. And I don't even take a bath every day. I take showers most of the time. So, I would have it forever, right? So I'm really in my mind trying to do this. But I was telling babe about me having this little issue. I'm like, babe, I don't get my nails done half the time. I mean, every now and then I'll go get a pedicure, not now, but before, every now and then I would. Right. I don't get my hair done. I don't buy makeup. It's so many typical things that that maybe as a woman we might do that I don't do, that I'm like, Amber, you can get you a $15 what do you call it? Bubble bath, and so I ended up getting it, but I had to convince myself, which was awful. Sometimes I feel like, no, you can treat yourself sometimes, you
should. And I always will ask you when you go shopping, I'll be like, well, how much was it?
Yeah.
Because it's my job to be
he's the finance person.
I'm keeping tabs on the money that's coming in and going out. And so, because I know the last thing you want to hear is, babe, I'm bouncing check.
Yeah. He tells me that. Yeah, he'll be telling me that. Just like we constantly are having these money conversations just to make sure that we are where we need to be. So he will tell me that. He was like, baby, you don't want, you don't want to hear anything of that nature or whatever have you. So, and I'm really blessed, to have a husband that not only is his profession in finance, but he actually has a love for money in general and just kind of the way it works. And so, I just feel truly blessed that we've been able to really come together and work together and be good when it comes to money.
Yeah. And this was how it was when we were on food stamps. Mm-hmm. When we were on, government assistance, where $200 for a whole month was what we was rocking with, and we had to make, that work. So we kept a lot of those things again because we spent a lot of time together, and those things have caused us to really do well even during this pandemic that's going on. You were just talking about how you mentioned to a coworker we sold one of our cars, and I'm at home. I work from home. If you're here in Atlanta, the majority of schools are shut down as far as physical. So when you go back to work, Liv will be home with me. Yeah. And we would not have been able to do that if we didn't make certain moves with our money that put us in position to have the flexibility to choose career paths that for you is a lot more flexible. For me, it's a lot more flexible. We're pretty much on the same schedule.
Exactly.
But this is, again, it's keeping your money separate and believing that that's the right way to do things. That might work for you. There may be someone watching this is what works for them. But what we're saying, we're looking at the numbers. If we're looking at the data,
the data,
by and large, it's a recipe for disaster. There are exceptions, but those are not the rules. And we would encourage you, especially if you consider yourself a Christian, to search in the Word where it talks about the benefits of putting your money together. And we'll wrap up with this, but I heard this story on, I think it was on the Dave Ramsey channel, where he talked about 2 Clydesdale horses. And so if you look this up, if you're like me, you like to look up, nerdy stats, a Clydesdale horse can pull by itself 12,000 pounds. And so conventional wisdom would say that if you put 2 Clydesdale horses together, sweetie, how much would they pull?
24,000.
Right, 12 times 2. But actually, 2 Clydesdale horses can actually pull together 48,000 pounds.
Wow.
So that's almost
more. Yeah, that's four times. Yeah.
And that's the way that we feel like putting our money together, all these, considering our money just a pot, one pot that we both have our shovels are our jobs, and we shovel our income into that pot, has allowed us to do some really amazing things.
It has.
And it works for us, but again, it's because we are on the same page and on the macro. There's very little that we just can eternally disagree upon, but money is one of the things that we're like, look, this is the play. We're gonna call this play for our family and to build our family's wealth, to be able to buy our freedom, emancipate ourselves, so that we're not waiting on a stimulus check to say now I can actually live my life.
Exactly, totally.
We stimulate ourselves later, we will, but I'm just joking.
No, you're not.
But, we said we're gonna come up with our own family stimulus package.
Exactly.
And that is going to put Liberty in position to do some amazing things that at her age, when we were her age, we weren't able to see, or even have those kind of conversations about money, that for her is going to be second nature.
It's second nature.
Yeah, whatever person she ends up with, like, they going to have to move that kind of way because she's seen how it's worked for her parents.
Exactly. Oh, babe, I know you said you was going to end it like that, but y'all, I have to brag on Libby for a second. Real quick, I told you this story the other day. So before we, in our county, we were told that everything would be digital for school this year. We had went school shopping, and so it was so much fun. It's something that is very enjoyable for us every year.
Back to school shopping.
Yes, back to school shopping. And so when the school year ended and we picked up, all the Lib's stuff, she had a toolkit that had like crayons, glue, scissors, etc. But we bought her one like for home too. She actually has a few.
Right.
But it was 2 in particular that we were talking about, like a black one and a blue one. Her favorite color is blue. Yeah. So I said, oh, Libby, you need a pencil box. So I said, all right, you know what? We could just use one at home. Mommy would clean it up real good for you, make it look brand new instead of buying another one, Yeah. And so that's like the type of thinking that I definitely have learned from Babe. I got to give him credit. Like, normally I would just buy another one, But I'm like, oh, no, we can just clean it up or whatever, and you can use it. It's in perfect condition, just a little scrape, some crayons and stuff like that. Yeah. So she kind of thought for a minute in her own mind, and she's like, well, let's just look and see, Mom. And then, like, maybe, I don't know, a minute later as we're walking around looking, she said, you know what, Mommy? She said, no, we should save. We could really save money by not buying this. I'll just use one that's at home. And I told Babe about that. I just was so like impressed and so happy because she kind of had to like think about it a bit, but then she was like, wait a minute, hold on. No, we really could save. And so I thought that was so awesome. Yeah. Like, even when sometimes she's talking to her friends, we'll hear her saying things, like money words like budget and excuse me. Yeah, she'll be like, well, that's not really in the budget. Or if we go shopping, she'll be like, Mommy, is this in the budget? And I say, okay, well, this is your money. You have $5 to spend. Yeah. Well, how much is that item? Oh, that's $2. Yay, I can get it. Yep. Or that's $10. No, I can't get it, Yeah. Yeah, and I think, like, when you think about money, a lot of times it is kind of
taboo.
It's taboo, yeah. And people, you don't want anyone to tell you how to quote unquote spend. But like Babe said a moment ago, the attitude that you have will really determine how money progresses in your life. Absolutely. So if you continue you continue to just be like, oh, I want to be able to get what I want to get, and you kind of have that attitude, it's going to make you kind of have that love-hate relationship with money. But at the end of the day, y'all, whether you are a believer or not, the money that we've been blessed with comes from God. And so we have to treat it as such, and we have to be fruitful with it. We have to make sure that we are sowing it the proper way, we're spending it the proper way, so on and so forth. And we believe that doing it together is more effective.
Absolutely. No, that's I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
And if you're the type of person that operates that way, the same as us, we're pretty sure that you guys are in a great space financially. And that your mindset just allows us to build. You can one can get it done, but two is always going to get it done faster. And so if you feel like I don't want anyone to tell me what to do, you definitely can't consider yourself a Christian, because if we're a Christian, we follow as best as possible and as often as possible. We follow the word of a person, of a being that we have never seen. We believe in God, and we believe in Christ, and we believe that the way that we operate with our money has to be a reflection of us as disciples of Christ, and that's what we're trying to be. Doesn't mean we're perfect, absolutely not. We don't know anyone that is. But what we will say is that we're striving for perfection, and so we're trying to be perfect. We're striving for perfection as individuals. We're taking care of ourselves, but we're also striving for perfection as a married couple. I had offended Babe while she was on the phone prior to this podcast. I said something rude. I kind of snapped at her, and she let me know in a very nice text. She didn't read me. She didn't go off on me.
Like I can, though.
She can. And I immediately apologized. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, babe. That wasn't my intention." But I didn't even know that I was personally still kind of out of it from running in this Georgia heat. So my head hurt, and I was just a little snippy. But I immediately apologized, and I feel like it's those little things that if you nip it in the bud from a communication standpoint, because I could have said, "Oh, well, sorry," and left it at that.
But he's not like that, y'all. I'm blessed. He's not like that.
I ain't like that. But what I'm saying is that there are folks that are dealing with somebody that's like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, again, that's a communication. If that person doesn't know that they have wounded you, because you don't know, just to the point about you can't tell me what to do with my money, you don't know how that could be wounding the person that you're with, because I'm like, they'd be like, "Hey, she does not trust me to leave this household."
That's good, babe. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so that's why she's got her, she's looking at her money and listening to that family member saying, you got to keep your own stash, you never know. That kind of like that would completely emasculate me as a man if I heard you talk like that. And I'm sure if I was that way towards you, you would feel like you don't have a voice, right? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I would feel like, what did I get myself into? That's how I would feel, honestly. I would be like, OMG, what did I just do? That's not a good look. Which is why we say, y'all, just take your time, seek God before you even get married.
Yes.
And I feel that if you are to the point where you haven't decided that I'm going to truly be one with someone else, you don't need to go get married. Don't even waste your time.
Don't play yourself.
Yeah, don't play yourself, because it don't make sense to do it. Like, I feel like I've always known I wanted to be married, and then I went off and on in times where I was like, "Oh Lord, if I'm gonna have to deal with that, I don't want that." Looking at other circumstances.
Yes.
But I know once I met Babe and we started building together, like I knew, like I was like, okay, this is gonna be my husband. Like I knew it, because
I feel the same way.
Yeah, like we knew it, and we just kept building, and then eventually that one wonderful day, Babe asked me to be his wife, and to be honest, like, not that we haven't had any hardships before.
Yeah, we have a lot.
Yeah, but we basically had been through so much in those years prior to being married, and we had worked through so many different things that, like, when we got married, it was, I don't want to say it was like quote unquote easy per se, but what I want to say is that it was just a nice transition. Would you agree, babe?
We don't deal with any surprises with each other. There's nothing that I'm surprised about. Which anything. I mean, person that's used to date, I'm surprised. Because that was a funny looking brother. But outside of that, I'm like,
look, some of y'all like don't like how you know. Oh, trust me, when we met each other, we both still had pictures and stuff, in boxes. And one day, remember, we had like a little cleaning out box. We started just tearing up stuff and throwing stuff away. Yeah. But we had boxes full of stuff. Yeah, like we are for real best friends, y'all. Like we are that couple that we really, really invest in our marriage. We really do. And
and it's not because we had it modeled to us. It's a decision that we made.
It's a decision that we made.
Have seen very, very horrible marriages and relationships fall apart.
Yeah.
And it's just we be like, look, this is not how I want my story to end, and this ain't how you want your story to end. So that's why we made a decision that we continue to work on.
Yeah,
on a regular basis.
On a regular basis, yeah. That is so good, babe. Yeah, marriage. As soon as you get married, you have to know that, okay, now the real job begins. Let's keep working at it like it's a daily basis.
Right. Well, we appreciate you guys taking the time to rock with us. If you have made it all the way to the end of this podcast, we want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Because we are very, very passionate about the subject of money. We're very passionate about the subject of marriage. I truly believe that there is a war against marriage.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We hear time and time again about folks that didn't make it, specifically during this Corona period.
Oh, yeah. So unfortunate.
Either you didn't make it as a relationship, or you got a baby.
A baby on the way.
So, that's what this Corona, just having all this extra time with each other, it should be an opportunity for the two of you to really get to know each other even more, even deeper, on a more regular basis. And that's what we hope that this podcast has really helped spark the conversation for some real good questions to ask each other. If you are single, don't feel like marriage is not the thing. The being married is awesome.
It's amazing.
It's exactly what you make it under God.
Under God. So, amen. Amen.
I don't want to hear nothing about no entanglements or nothing like that. That's not God. I'm sorry. It's not God. That's not God.
What you talking about?
I'm just saying, when you get away from God, you will entangle yourself with the enemy from a money standpoint, and obviously
and beyond.
So I'm just going to leave that joke there. But again, if you are watching us on YouTube, do us a huge favor and do what, sweetie?
Give us a thumbs up.
Yes.
Please subscribe if you haven't, you guys.
Yeah.
And leave a comment. Tell us your thoughts respectfully. If you agree, you can tell us about it. And if you disagree, you can tell us about it too, respectfully, please.
Yes, because we will delete you with the quickness. But no, I'm just kidding. But if you disagree, let us know why. And again, everyone's different. But again, there are exceptions that it works, but again, statistically, it's a recipe for disaster. We don't want to see nobody fail in marriage.
We know biblically what the Word of God says, period. So as a believer, we know biblically what God says about marriage and about money. So that's that.
Yes, until the next podcast, this is Marvin.
Amber, and we're with the family.